boys and girls, it's Mrs. B. I'm back for our last art lesson about flowers. This flower is one I wanted to share with you. This is a Clivia flower from South Africa that I got as a wedding present years ago when I got married from a friend. And it has grown so big. I have to zoom out so you can see it. It's almost too big for its pot. Maybe this summer I'll have to repot it. But it's a very cool tropical plant, and it grows a big spike out of the top. And out of that spike are these beautiful coral colored flowers. And after the flowers die, they turn into these pods, and those pods ripen over time. And I've been reading with my kids about how you can grow these pods into baby Clivia plants. I have this plant now for 13 years, and I still have not been able to successfully do that. So this summer, that's the project my kids and I have. We are going to try to grow one of those seed pods into a baby plant and maybe repot this poor guy so that it can be in a bigger pot. Another plant I wanted to show you, is not as big, but it's still pretty cool. This is a flowering cactus that I got from the Old Line Big Y. They have a little discount plant area where they sell plants that are kind of on the way out and maybe not thriving, living in the grocery store. And this little guy was on clearance and we had to rescue it, so it lives at our house now. But it's a flowering cactus and it grows these beautiful bright pink flowers on top. So this week in art, we're going to talk once more, our final class, about flowers. We started by learning about the science behind flowers when we had our SciShow Kids video. Then we talked about Georgia O'Keeffe and how she painted close-up views of flowers. And you guys did a phenomenal job last week of showing me your very carefully observed flowers that you painted. This week, we are going to think like art critics. An art critic is a person who looks at art, thinks about why the artist might have painted it, why the artist painted it the way that they did, and what they think about the art overall. They give kind of their opinion on things. So we're going to look at how several different artists have shown flowers in their work. And your job for art this week is to look at the examples of flowers and tell me which one is your favorite and why. If you owned an art museum and you could only pick one flower painting for your art museum, which one of these would you decide to display and why? So you can answer that in the little Google Classroom question that I'm going to pose. Our first one is called Sunflowers, and it's by Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh was a Dutch painter who lived from 1853 to 1890. He was very poor in his life, and he was not a famous artist until after he passed away. This flower painting shows sunflowers. Some of them are alive. You can see like down here. Some of them are losing their petals. Some of them are not doing so well. They've been in that vase for a really long time. He uses one color a lot in this painting. What color do you see mostly? If you guessed yellow, you're correct. He used a lot of yellow in this painting. And there's a little accent of blue and some red and of course a little green for the stems. And he signed his name on the vase. It says Vincent down there. Our next painting shows flowers in a very different way. This is by a Mexican painter who lived from 1886 to 1957, and his name was Diego Rivera. And this painting is of some really spectacular tropical lilies, and it's called The Flower Seller. So it shows a person with a gigantic basket of flowers getting ready to sell them in a flower market. And there's actually two people. There's the person holding the basket, and then there's a person in the back who is lifting that basket. You can kind of see that person's hands here on the top of the person's head and the person's feet. So that person is lifting the basket so that the lady can bring them to market to sell them. We definitely don't have flowers like that in New England, right? Those are a tropical flower, kind of like my very special tropical flower I have here. Our next painting is one that you guys saw when you were in kindergarten, if you had Mrs. B for art. This is called Bouquet of Peace, and it's a print by an artist named Pablo Picasso. And it was created in 1958. And Picasso was a Spanish artist who did lots of abstract work where you can't quite tell what you're looking at, or you might see something in a very different way than usual. And in this one, it's kind of interesting because the hands look pretty real, right? But the flowers don't look that realistic. They look really, really simple, like something you could maybe draw with a crayon or a marker. So this shows one person handing a bouquet of flowers to another person, and it's a gesture of peace. And when I say peace, I don't mean peace like piece of cake or piece of pie, although that does sound delicious. I mean peace like a feeling of calm and well-being. So this is a bouquet that's meant to be a signal of feeling calm and like no one is fighting and everyone's getting along. So one person's handing it to the other, and you don't know who is giving the flowers and who's getting the flowers. It's not clear. Next up is a painting by an American artist named Faith Ringgold, and it's called The Sunflower Quilting Bee at Arles. Now, Faith Ringgold is a living artist who lives and works in New York City, which is really near Old Saybrook, right? She was born in 1930, so she will be 90 years old this fall. Faith Ringgold is known for making beautiful story quilts. So she makes quilts that hang in art museums and tell stories. Well, this is a picture of some women at a quilting bee. So it's a painting, but in the painting she shows a beautiful quilt of sunflowers. And what I thought was really kind of cool about this one is, do you see this little guy over here? That's Vincent van Gogh, and he's holding his bouquet of sunflowers. So if we go back up to our very first one, there's Van Gogh's painting. And Faith Ringgold included a tiny little portrait of Vincent van Gogh in the background of the sunflower field. And she has all of these women who helped create these beautiful quilts in the picture. So it's a portrait of many, many women and their beautiful sunflower quilt. Here is Tulips in a Vase. This is by an artist named Paul Cézanne, and this was created in the 1800s. He was born in 1839 and he died in 1906. And in this painting, we have more than just flowers. We have a bouquet of flowers and we have some fruit. So we have peaches and apples, and we have some peach-colored tulips. Now, we can't really see what's going on in the background. So what do we think the focus of this painting is? The focus of this painting is looking at the flowers and the fruit. In Faith Ringgold's painting, we're focusing on the main picture of the flowers in the quilt and the flowers in the field and all the people and the blue sky and our tiny little hidden Vincent van Gogh. In this picture, we're just focusing on the flowers. This picture seems very calm to me. It seems calm with the blue background, almost a little bit sad and kind of lonely looking, right? This one seems cheerful, and this one seems kind of lonely. What do you think? And that doesn't mean Mrs. B is right. You can think whatever you want, because when you're the art critic, you're giving your opinion on the art. Finally, my last flower art is a print called Flowers by an artist named Andy Warhol. And Andy Warhol lived in New York City from 1928 until 1987. And this is a silk screen print. So if you've ever worn a t-shirt that had an ink design printed on it, it's printed usually by silk screen, which is a way of pushing ink through fabric and onto a canvas or onto fabric like a t-shirt. Now these flowers don't look that realistic to me, and they're really simple colors. You can see grass behind them like they're laying in a meadow, and you can see there's purple, yellow, and 2 pink flowers. And this is a really, really big painting. This would fill a wall if you saw it in real life. So those are our flowers to look at this week. We've got Warhol, Cézanne, Faith Ringgold, Pablo Picasso, Diego Rivera, and Vincent van Gogh. Your job is to look at all the flowers, tell me which flower painting is your favorite, and give me one reason why you picked that one. Tell me which one's your favorite with one reason why you picked that one. And if you feel like making any more flower pictures, I always love seeing flower pictures. So, my flowers and I are signing off for the week. I miss you, first grade, very, very much, and I really appreciate the wonderful work everybody's been doing in art class from home this last trimester of the school year. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, you can email me anytime or ask your question right on Google Classroom. Bye for now.